Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads. Today we're going to talk about focusing on our goals and not on negative stuff. So before we get started, I want you guys to go down to lion-dads.com and I want you guys to get my free PDF on getting started with a carnivore diet to help you start losing weight today. It's got everything you need in there, all the guidance you need to get started, the basics. It's got a shopping list in there. Take to the store, get all the foods you need to get started, and let's start losing weight today. So going back to the video, I think a lot of people, when they come to starting a lifestyle change or a quote-unquote diet that I guess you would call what consider a carnivore diet or an animal-based way of eating, there's an exciting period like day one, right, where you make this decision. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to change my life, and you get all rah-rah about it and everything. That's awesome. That's, the most important step is the first step. And that's the reaction that naturally comes with it, the excitement, right? But as humans in our, advanced brains that sometimes do us more harm than good, instead of going all in and just jumping right in and just focusing on all that, we start thinking about, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? That's just our human nature. That's the way we are. We're analytical creatures. We're taught, it's coded into us to second guess our decisions sometimes because, that's a survival mechanism. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, back in caveman times, you'd have a decision. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go do whatever, and then it's like, oh, but what if I died? You know what I mean? Any decision back then you make could often lead to death. So that's a problem a lot of people, I think, find when they start a new way of eating or a new diet is, okay, I'm going to do this, but then what about this? What about that? What about this thing that my societal programming taught me when I was a little kid about doing this and doing that. So, and then that becomes the focus for a lot of people. Some of the negatives, I'll go into some of the, things that I struggled with early on instead of just putting my goals in front of me and looking at the big picture and show why I was kind of being ridiculous and unrealistic and using my, relying on my caveman brain a little bit. So obviously I grew up in the United States. We eat the standard American diet here. I grew up being taught the food pyramid when I was a kid. I think I've talked plenty about my thoughts on the food pyramid on this channel and, how harmful it is. It's like, eat meat sparingly because cholesterol, heart disease, clogged arteries, fat this, fat that, all this bullshit about how harmful meat's going to be for you and all this stuff. And like any, you're a child, your brain's developing, you see your parents kind of buying into this crap, you see the teachers at school teaching it, you see it on TV all the time, you're going to kind of get brainwashed by this stuff, and I've been a meat eater my whole life. We've never shied away from it, I've probably never eaten a meal that was fully like vegan, you know what I mean, or vegetarian or anything like that. There's always been a meat, the base of my meal, the thing is built around, was always a meat product, some kind of meat food. But and that's it's pretty common on the standard American diet anyway, you know what I mean. But we still had to hear all the, you need to eat X amount of vegetables a day, you're not eating enough fruit, you're not eating enough fiber and these other things that, are believed, you got to quit eating fat, sugar's better for you than fat and all this kind of shit. So I grew up believing that stuff and I kind of ate that way my whole life. If I, wouldn't eat a vegetable or a fruit, I'd feel guilty. I would have this sense of guilt. So back with my relationship with fruit. So I find fruit delicious. I love fruit. I can admit to everybody that shit is good, and there's nothing more satisfying than biting into an apple, right? But it always hurt me. Ever since I was a kid, fruits would cause me pain and cause me discomfort. They would cause my airway to kind of swell up a little bit. I'd get this it'd start out with a really scratchy throat that I would keep kind of doing this swallowing thing all day to try to alleviate. And throughout the day, after I'd eat a piece of fruit, and it's almost any kind of fruit. My favorite fruit is pears, and man, pears are like the worst for me. My airway would literally close up to where I could barely breathe, and I, couldn't do stuff. I remember playing, sports when I was a kid and stuff like that. Soccer games, baseball games, stuff like that. You get like your halftime or whatever, and what's the thing everybody rolls out is oranges. And you're tired. You're thirsty. It's hot. I'm from Arizona. It's hotter than hell out there when we're out playing sports and stuff like that. And so I would rip into oranges. They look so good and they're so refreshing at halftime. And I would end up playing like shit in the second half of any game I was in because I couldn't breathe. I would eat this fruit and I'd be out on the field running around, just sucking air, trying to breathe through, a smaller airway. So, but, it's good for me. It's got all my vitamins and minerals, and it's got all this shit that I need, and it's hydrating and all this stuff. Never mind the fact that, there's a ton of sugar in them, and I've heard, don't tell me that the sugar in a fruit is different than any other kind. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? There's fructose and all kinds of stuff that makes you fat as hell, and that's what comes from fruit. People tell you that it's a different kind of sugar. It's bullshit. It's a molecular, same compound. It's a sugar. It does the same thing. Makes you fat. But, I'm out there running around and not breathing and stuff like that. I found it harmful. I didn't think about it because all I ever thought about was, it's good for me and all this stuff. But I was always like, God, I'm going to eat this thing and I'm going to feel like crap. That's my whole life. And I kept eating them. Because I thought the good would outweigh the bad. Same with vegetables. There are certain vegetables that I would eat that would upset my stomach, make me break out, and acne or rashes and certain things like that. I've always had reactions to certain fruits and like most fruits and vegetables and things like that. But I never had any negative reactions to meat. It was weird. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here talking about this stuff, but I wanted to kind of give you my background. So when I came to the carnivore diet, there was a sense of dread and a sense of guilt that crept in because I was taught my whole life that no matter what kind of harmful side effects I would feel from these other food items, I had to eat them because they're the best thing for me. It's got everything I need in them to keep my body strong. And the whole time I was eating vegetables and fruits, I was still just getting fat and gaining weight and stuff like that, right? Same thing with breads. You got to keep my digestive system going and all this stuff. So I came to the carnivore diet and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to eat meat and I'm going to lose. I've seen people online losing weight and seeing them curing ailments and seeing all these amazing, incredible things happen. I've seen the Joe Rogan podcast with all the same shit that brought all of us to this thing, right? And I was like, God, man, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about heart disease? And what about, even though all this stuff has been debunked and it's right there in front of your face, if you can read, just go out there and find it. It's out there all over the internet. I still wasn't I still was focusing on that negative stuff. But I went all in anyway. And I started seeing the benefits, and I started realizing that what I'd been taught my whole life was a bunch of horse shit, and it was wrong, and it was harmful information, and there's the people to blame for that are way beyond me. I'm not blaming my parents for it because they grew up believing the same crap. I'm not blaming teachers at school. The people to blame for having this stuff pushed on us is way, way above us. They're never going to see this video. You know what I mean? And half of them probably aren't even alive anymore. But I was able to kind of put that stuff out of my mind. But then a new negative came up. People would ask me, man, look at you. You look great. You're losing weight and all this kind of stuff. And then the next question is always, what are you doing? How are you losing all this weight? How do you look so good in such a short amount? I just saw you 2 months ago and you were obese and you look awesome right now. And then I say, well, I'm on a carnivore diet. I eat nothing but meat. And the shock and horror that would come across people's faces is enough to like make you not want to talk about it. Because as people, we do read people's body language, right? That's a big part of what we do. And you don't want to tell people what you're doing in your life and see shock and disgust on their face. You know, that makes you second guess and it makes you question what you're doing. And that, when you tell your most normal, common person, people you care about, friends, my parents, whoever, you know, you tell them what you're doing, that's what 99% of them are going to give you, is a look of shock, a look of horror and disgust that all comes from their societal programming that tells them that eating meat is bad for them. And so I got to a point where I kind of, it makes you kind of second guess yourself. Like, am I doing the wrong thing, man? Because this person that I really respect and like and have a, you know, close personal relationship is, I can like visibly didn't even know they were doing it, but showed me that they were disgusted when I told them how I eat. When, you know, really I'm the one who should be disgusted by how they eat when they're eating, you know, sugar and seed oils and all this harmful crap all the time. But each his own. I try not to be that way. But, you know, it's a hard thing to see on somebody's face because we do read body language that way. And then it makes me second guess myself. It makes you kind of feel this subconscious level of shame and things like that. And it just made me avoid telling people. This is all, you know, within the first year of my diet. And I kind of got to a point of I had to refocus and regroup and reset myself and remind myself that this is my journey. This is working for me. This is something that I want to do and I want to do probably forever. And I'm going to have to embrace that, and I'm going to have to get over that. And I'm going to have to not shy away from telling people what I'm doing. I have to be honest with it. And being able to put it out on the internet to everybody and talk about it and help people on their journey has made that a lot easier for me. But there's a lot of ways, like you just have, it's a mental thing that you have to get around. You have to understand when somebody asks you that, they're not going to get it. And their body language is going to show that. They'll probably even vocalize it to you that you're harming yourself and doing all this bad stuff that comes, you know, that possibly comes from eating meat, right? From their brainwashing they've had since they were a little kid. So that's just something you have to think about, and you have to refocus and remind yourself when you see that this person doesn't know. They don't know. They're ignorant to what benefits you're seeing. Even though it's right in front of them, they came to you and literally asked you what you've done to get your life back on track. And then when you tell them, it's like, well, you're not supposed to do it that way. And, you know, and you need to be able to remind yourself that that is a them problem and it's not a you problem. You have done the right thing. You're continuing to do the right thing. This is the way you live your life. You have every right to live your life the way you want. And if other people can't accept that, fuck them. That's basically what I said. That's basically what I say when I talk to somebody. You know, I don't love them any less. I don't care about them any less. I only want the best for people. But when they come to me and they tell me my diet's awful and it's harmful and all this stuff, I'm like, fuck this guy. You know, he doesn't know shit. And that's just what I think. That's the way I think, and I just keep on keeping on my path. So that's pretty much all I got today. I just want to remind you guys that I have my free PDF on my website, lion-dads.com. So head over there, get that. It'll get emailed to you, and you can start losing weight today. And until the next one, bye.